Today guys, we're going over some of the fastest muscle cars in GTA Online based on top speed. I hope you're going to enjoy the video, and with that said, let's jump into number 10, which is going to be the Sabre Turbo Custom. You can buy this thing for $490,000. It has a 121 mile per hour top speed, and if you wanted to fully max it out, it'll cost you about $688,000 to do so. Now, like I said, this is based on what their top speeds are in-game, just driving on a level surface. Obviously, a lot of these vehicles have combustion engines, so if you're driving downhill, you'll be able to go a little bit faster and use other things to your advantage because GTA physics are kind of weird. But this thing falls at the number 10 slot. Next, we have the Hustler, which you could purchase for $625,000. It has a 121 mile per hour top speed as well, and it'll only cost you about $335,000 to max out, which is not bad at all. When it comes down to it, the car actually looks pretty damn cool, and when I was driving it around, it felt pretty nice. It didn't go around turns that well, it felt a little bit heavy, but it is definitely a pretty quick car. Next, we have the new Dominator GT, which you could purchase for $2,195,000. It has a 123 mile per hour top speed, and it'll cost you $383,000 to max out. This is a pretty beautiful car. It's got a pretty decent amount of upgrades for it as well. I do wish it was a hardtop, but you know, it still looks pretty damn great, and it's obviously fairly fast compared to all of the other Dominators that we have in GTA Online, or at least so I thought. Next, we have the Vigero ZX and the Vigero ZX Convertible. You could buy the regular version for $1,947,000 or the convertible version for $2,295,000, which is kind of strange to me. The top speed is the exact same, 125 miles per hour, but if you put HSW mods on them, the regular Vigero will go 157 miles per hour, while the convertible version will go 158 miles per hour. Don't really know why and how, but it is how it is. And if you wanted to fully max this vehicle out with HSW mods, it will cost you $1,095,000, which is a whole lot of money, but it is a pretty beautiful car, and it is pretty damn fast. Just before we jump into the next vehicle though, why don't you guys take a look at this video's sponsor. If you need any assistance in any of your favorite games like GTA 5, Fortnite, Forza, Call of Duty, and many, many more, be sure to check out Damnmodz down below in the description, and at checkout use code Frolickz to get up to $100 off your order. Next up, we have the Gauntlet Hellfire, which you could purchase for $745,000. It has a 125 mile per hour top speed, and it'll cost you about $378,000 to max this thing out, which isn't bad at all. It's a relatively cheap car, it's relatively fast, and if you wanted to max it out, it doesn't cost you that much money, especially compared to some of the other vehicles that we're about to go over, which will set you back almost more than the car's cost, which is kinda crazy. Next, we have the beautiful Gauntlet Classic Custom, which you could purchase for $1,430,000. It has a 125 mile per hour top speed, and it'll cost you about $609,000 to max out, obviously because it's a Benny's vehicle, but it is still beautiful, it looks amazing, and outperforms a lot of the other muscle cars in the game. Following that, we have the Buffalo STX, which you could purchase for $2,150,000 or unlock the trade price and get it for $1,612,000. It has a 126 mile per hour top speed, and if you wanted to fully max this thing out with Amani Tech as well, it's going to cost you $1,393,000 to do so, almost the price of the car if you unlock the trade price. I mean, Amani Tech is kind of worth it, but it all depends on what you're going to use the car for. If it's solely for racing, you don't really need it. But if you're going to drive it around in free mode, you're definitely going to want that missile lock-on jammer, and maybe even the remote control unit and some other stuff. Either way, it's a great car, handles well, and has a super high top speed. Next, we have the Piz Waser Dominator, the cheapest car on this list, costing only $315,000. It has a 126 mile per hour top speed, and it'll only cost you $211,000 to max out, which is kind of crazy. This is a very old vehicle, as you guys know, and it is fairly cheap. When I was driving it around, this thing was actually kind of flying. The one thing I don't like about it is the livery that it has on it is so pixelated because it's such an old vehicle. You compare that to some of the other liveries we have, and they're just completely different. Like, this is like 480p compared to 4K liveries. I don't know. Either way, the car is still pretty damn fast for such an old vehicle, and if you're looking to get into muscle car racing and don't have that much money, this thing's only going to set you back just over $500k fully maxed out, which is pretty great. Now we have 3 Arena War vehicles. First is the Imperator, which will cost you about $1,541,000 to purchase with a 130 mile per hour top speed, and it'll cost you $2,524,000 to max this thing out. Of course, That includes a lot of arena upgrades that you probably don't need if you're going to be using this car in races and stuff like that, but it is still pretty damn fast. But as we jump into the next vehicle, which is the Arena War Dominator, which you could purchase for $1,167,000 with a 131 mile per hour top speed, and it'll cost you $2,497,000 to max out. It'd be really cool if we were able to see the Dominator GT added as an Arena War vehicle, because I do like the regular Dominator, but the new GT version is pretty damn sick. The final Arena War vehicle is the Imperator, one of my personal favorites. It will cost you $2,284,000 to purchase, or if you unlock the trade price, you can get it for $1,718,000. It has a 132 mile per hour top speed, and by far the most expensive one on this list. To max it out, it'll cost you $3,326,000. I really don't know why it costs so much more to fully max this thing out, but I do know it's very fun to drive around with. And when I used to do drag races with it at the airport, it absolutely flew. It's a great vehicle and is super fast. And finally, we have the Weevil Custom, which you could purchase for $1,850,000. It has a 137 mile per hour top speed, and it'll only cost you about $459,000 to max this thing out. I honestly loved when Rockstar released it. I instantly bought it and upgraded it because it actually has some really, really cool customizations, and you could create a lot of different variants with this vehicle, which I really love. But at the end of the day, it is just fast as hell, and if you do put Benny's wheels on it, it looks sick. And if you want a nice color to put on it, I would recommend a custom midnight blue or midnight purple. I have videos that I made on how you guys can get those colors. If you want to check it out, I'll link it down below. But either way, this thing is fast as hell, beautiful car, and honestly doesn't cost that much money compared to some of the other ones we got. But anyways, that is going to wrap the video up for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And with that said, I will catch you guys in the next one.